Well, let's just go. Let's just talk about. We're going to place. It used to be that conservatives were people who were just freaked out by change, middle-aged men and women who were scared of hippies and black people, and party leaders would make up lies about civil rights and peace movement to really scare the straights, and it was all in good fun. Well, guess what? Everything old is new again, fellas. Because here's Republican Representative Aaron Cantor on his reaction to the Occupy Wall Street movement.
I, for one, am increasingly concerned about the growing mobs occupying Wall Street and the other cities across the country. And believe it or not, some in this town have actually condoned the pitting of Americans against Americans.
Bang, old school people. Eric Cantor, he's taking it back to when the majority whip actually used to whip people. That's what I like. Listen to the old world craftsmanship in there, Paul. Subtle, cold, like growing mobs and straw man arguments with plausible deniability. The pitting of Americans against Americans. You know, I say we give Eric Cantor another week, and you're going to be hearing the word agitator. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. As if Wall Street didn't start the fight first by destroying everyone's 401k by taking advantage of deregulation.
Yes.
As if they didn't launch the first shot across the bow.
You know, when you have close to 50 million Americans unemployed or underemployed, I'm going to say that the people who are in charge of the economy might hold a little bit of that responsibility.
Yeah.
He finds it hard to consider a movement or a protest American if there are no Hitler mustaches involved.
And if I remember correctly, his constituents are wealthy people that live in New York, correct?
Who, Eric Cantor?
Yeah.
No, he's I think he's from South Carolina.
Is he?
Not? Yeah, he's from Virginia, Paul.
I'm thinking of Peter King.
Yeah. This is Eric Cantor from Virginia.
He's a Confederate Jew, which you don't see very often.
You don't see that very often.
No.
Confederate.
Stars and bars.
Yeah.
Star of David and bars. Whatever.
They tried to circumcise our country back in the 1800s.
You know, what you were saying before about pitting Americans against Americans, it's called an election. Yeah. Where people compete, or a football game, or any kind of where people are actually, where there's something at stake.
Where in the Constitution, Steve, does it give people the right to peacefully protest?
Right. Which amendment said that?
Yeah.
It's the first one, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It must have been important.
I should read it.
Or it used to be.
Peaceably. It used to be. So now let's move on. There's another. So we're getting everyone's reaction to the Tea Partiers today, and so that was Eric Cantor's reaction by pitting America growing mobs. It's funny when it's people who are actually victims of this economy. When the chickens come home to roost from the way we've been running our economy, outsourcing jobs, funneling money to the banks, which produce nothing. They're the ones
having friends police each other, friends that went to Yale together, bailing each other out.
Yes. There's more to. We're going to get to all that. The 53 percenters. Have you heard about who they are?
No.
Oh, I've heard about them. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to get to them in a little bit, but there is a website now started. I think it was by that guy who started RedState.com, Eric Erickson, and it's called the 53 Percenters, and they're people who it's their response to the 99 percenters. So what they're saying is they hold up pieces of paper and it says things like, "I work 3 jobs, my house is worth 60% less than when I bought it, and I don't blame Wall Street." Right. I'm like, well, you should be blaming Wall Street. That's exactly who's responsible for the crash of the housing.
There's other people responsible, too, Democrats and Republicans that allowed deregulation to take place.
Oh, no doubt. So what happened was Wall Street bought the government. They bought So but you definitely could.
Your representatives are as guilty. Bill Clinton is as guilty as anybody else.
Yes, very much so. But, okay, so let's move on to, so Eric Cantor would be like the regular a-holes version of what the Occupy Wall Street guys. Now, here's a super a-hole response to the Wall Street. This is Republican strategist Ron Christie, who goes on with...
Oh, Ron Christie.
Do you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I know. Mr. Lazy Eye.
Yes, African-American. Now, I when I get tired, I also have a lazy eye, so I have a soft spot for him. But here is Ron Christie's... Here's his take on the Occupy Wall Street protesters.
Well, it's pretty moving to see a large number of folks protesting in the streets, Chris. I guess my first emotional response is, I feel your pain, I understand where you're coming from, but go get a job.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are...
Like these people aren't trying to get jobs.
You know, that's the whole point of this, right? Ladies and
Did I
gentlemen.
say lazy eye? I meant lazy mind.
Yes.
God damn it.
Lazy everything.
We are truly in a post-racial world, Paul, because Archie Bunker is now a black man. There it is.
Sounds like a surfer
Jesus.
Well, get a job. Wow. Never mind the ivory tower. I really don't get what the hell's going on. Nature of that statement, and try to appreciate the homage Christie is trying to pay to every middle-aged white guy who ever told a Vietnam-era protester to get a job. That's what he's doing.
You know, and the irony to me is, 90% of these right-wing ass are people that call themselves Christians who, and at the heart of the problem is they are not able to picture themselves in someone else's shoes, or don't take the time to picture themselves in someone else's shoes. They just think they need to extrapolate their life onto somebody else's and say, well, why can't they get a great job in middle management like I do?
I don't think it's even that, Paul. I think that Ron Christie it's not like he doesn't get it. I think he gets it, but he doesn't care. He's just going to carry water.
You think he really puts himself in someone else's shoes and really pictures what the effort that they might have to go through?
Well, the
and then decides it?
Republicans, Boehner and all of them were saying before to Obama, where are the jobs? Where are the jobs? They're criticizing Obama because there's not a lot of jobs. But now that there's this protest, they're saying, hey, get a job.
There's plenty of jobs.
Yeah. Now there's plenty of jobs
sudden.
now, so...
Yes, that's very interesting. Very good, interesting take, Paul.
The other thing that I just want to say is these jobs that they're saying are available don't pay a living wage.
Right. Well,
People cannot even pay rent with what McDonald's pays them for a week.
So the biggest employer in the country is Walmart, right? So I mean that's what we're kind of having a Walmart. They're the kind of driving force between the rich and poor society, right? So they're going to come in. We're going to have everything made by slaves, and it's cheap for you, but guess what? Your job's going to be gone too. And so that's people were like, well, what's wrong with Walmart? Why can't what?
Walmart's a great place to buy. It's a horrible place for your community.
Right. It's for everyone's community. It's horrible for everyone.
It's horrible. Everything outside of when you buy something about Walmart is horrible.
The only thing the only positive, it's like you can maybe save a few dollars, but how are you saving a few dollars? It's like
it's costing you those dollars in a way that you don't see.
Yeah, it's like right. It's like if you want to be around like in 1860, hey, I'd say what you want. Cotton's cheap.
Right.
Look at this shirt.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah. I mean, you want
$3.
You can start splitting hairs over the fact that people don't get paid to get it, but it breathes.
Why did
people don't talk about how during the time of slavery there were great savings?
Well, we have savings now. We have those kind of slavery savings now. With the you get your iPhone, you get your Steve Jobs was not he was smart about having slaves make his stuff, and
no, they were eye slaves.
That's right. Okay, so we got the subtle fear mongering and classic dismissiveness. Right, from Ron Christie and Eric Cantor. But what about that one old lady out there, who's sitting out there, but for who those arguments are too nuanced? Do you know what I mean? The old lady who sits by the radio and is too terrified of her own impending death and how she's going to afford medication to really appreciate the idea of a secret cabal of people who don't want to work. Well, enter our friend Glenn Beck.
I knew you were going to say him.
Capitalists. If you think that you can play footsies with these people, you're wrong. They will come for you and drag you into the streets and kill you. They will do it. They're not messing around. Those in the media, and I say this, I am included in this, they will drag us out into the streets and kill us. If you're wealthy, they will kill you for what you have.
Well, so if you missed the subtlety of Ron Christie,
wait a minute. So they're too lazy to get jobs, but they'll go into people's houses and pull them out into the street and kill them.
Absolutely, you're starting.
It seems like a lot of work.
You're starting
a lot of work to do that.
Seems like it's easy to get
kill
a job.
someone. It's harder to do than it looks.
Yeah.
To kill someone and rob them.
Well, you know what is employed today?
What is?
Paranoid delusions of grandeur.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently that is.
You're talking about Glenn Beck? Is that what
Yes.
you're talking about? Okay.
You know what Chris Christie's dismissive reaction to all this was? Let me eat cake. He's a large man.
A lot of cake.
It's like it's Glenn Beck is he's a fear monger for the postmodern conservative.
Well, I like how he says, and people in the media, and I include myself in that. He has to keep reminding himself because he's not really as much a part of the media as he was like 6 months ago.
He is a fear monger's fear monger.
Yeah, he really
Glenn
is.
Beck.
He is. He's nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
Right. He's like he's a total deconstructionist. He's like the Marcel Duchamp of douchebaggery.
If I've heard that once, I've heard that a million times.
I don't even know what that means. I don't know who Marcel Duchamp is.
Okay, he was a Dadaist, and it's the idea of the
Breaking everything down into its
Yes.
elemental forms.
See, whereas Ron Christie will say something elegant and pithy like "get a job," Glenn Beck just reduces it down to the raw core. They want to kill you and take your money.
Yeah.
There it is. That's the beauty of Glenn Beck.
There's something to be admired about a guy who was too crazy for Fox.
There is. There is.
There is something about a guy who's too
Well,
crazy.
if should something tragic ever happen to Glenn Beck, something you will never hear somebody say is, "We didn't see it coming."
We do want to kill him. We're not going to, but we want to. Not because he's rich or anything.
Well, I'm done. I got to go buy some gold and practice with my militia. So I don't have time to sit around and listen to talk show hosts.